Do you ever find yourself with a game that you've been wanting to play, but you just can't get yourself to start playing? Why is it so hard sometimes to start a new game, even one that you're really excited about? Well, I thought about it for a long time, and I kind of rewrote what I was going to say maybe, 35 times, and I landed on 3 big reasons here. And as I list these reasons, I want to shout out a couple of games, either because they did a really good job with it, or because they didn't do such a good job with it. Okay, so, first one. What I mean by a bad difficulty curve is that feeling when you start a game and you don't really feel particularly challenged for the first few sections of the game. Usually the game just doesn't want to throw its hardest challenges at you right away, but that feeling of guiding the player along or just presenting really simple obstacles can last a little too long, and it makes the game feel a little boring sometimes. Like, I just want to get out of this first area and just get to where the real game starts. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Nintendo games. I will absolutely consume every piece of Mario platforming and Zelda anything until I die. But when I think about bad difficulty curves, Nintendo games do come to mind pretty quickly. Their games will usually start incredibly hand-holdy in the beginning. Like, Link will come across his first enemy, and 3 different NPCs will come up to you and be like, okay, I was probably gonna try that anyway. And yes, I'm looking right at you, Skyward Sword. Just let me play. Let me fly around. Let me walk around. Let me push that box to solve this puzzle. Like, I can do it, you know? And if I fail, if I mess up, if I die, if I fall, it's okay. I'll keep playing your game. Like, it's fine. Just let me try it out, you know? Let me mess around a little bit. It's okay. It's fine. If I had to give an example of a game that does this well, this might be a weird choice, but I actually think Elden Ring did this pretty well. Even though overall it's an incredibly difficult game, the fact that it's so open means that you always have a ton of different options to engage with. If a certain boss fight is too difficult, you could just go somewhere else, or sometimes even just go around it. You could run right through everything, baby. And there's stuff to collect everywhere that'll increase your overall power. So when you decide to come back to that challenging fight, you can absolutely slam dunk market. Like, oh my god, fuck, got him, nice, oh god, yes. So this is kind of in a similar vein, but having to learn just how to play the freaking.
Hey everybody, Future Man Good here, revising my video halfway through editing because I didn't really like what I was saying. Compared to whatever the heck I was going to talk about back there, I think the better point I want to make about tutorials is this. If your tutorial is annoying, cumbersome, or unintuitive, that's bad. It's going to contribute to me abandoning your game early because I just don't care enough to learn these weird mechanics that you've set up. I think video games could learn a lot from board game tutorials, or as we tabletop nerds like to call them, rule books. Rule books might seem like a scary amount of reading, and sometimes they are, but a really good rule book is expertly designed to convey a lot of really important information in very short and effective sentences. And if you want an example of a really amazing rule book, look at this game, Tapestry by Stonemaier Games. It looks like a pretty big and scary game with a lot of different pieces and mechanics. And it probably has a big scary rule book, right? No, actually the rulebook for this game is just these 2 pages front and back. Not only that, but the way the board is designed and your own player pieces, they're all designed to remind you how to play the game while you're playing it so that you have to consult these rules even less. And this game sets the bar for me in showing how you can trim off overly complicated or unnecessary mechanics and still have a really deep game with a lot of interesting decisions. And that's where I think video games can do better. All too often it feels like the developers had 5 different teams working on 5 different systems, all with different rewards and mechanics and unlocks and currencies, and it all feels overly complicated just to give the illusion of depth, when in reality it's just messy. Okay, that's it for Future Matt. I'm gonna take you back to the present time now. Hang on. Here we go.
The mechanic. That's the tutorial that every game needs. The last thing I want to talk about I think is the most important, and it's also the reason that I started even thinking about this video in the first place. It has to do with the opening cutscene, or opening dialogues.
And you dead mortals are what we refer to as neons.
Or opening slow walks.
Well, there's something you both have in common.
However it manifests itself in the game. And I'm going to title this section a word that I just made up right now. The word is What I mean by world learning is that period of time when you know nothing about the universe that you're about to explore. You might find this happening on page 1 of a really long book or episode 1 of a really long TV series. You have absolutely no idea who any of the characters are, the relationships to each other, the names of any of the places, what the characters want, what's happened to them in the past. And it's the job of that piece of media to slowly unveil these things in a way that feels natural and doesn't overload you with too much information. If you really want to experience difficult world learning, talk to any NPC in Disco Elysium and tell me what the fuck they're talking about. Because I've tried to understand, and I just don't get it. I don't know what anyone is talking about ever. Now, I looked up the beginnings of a lot of video games for this video. Probably around 40 popular games or so. And one game really sticks out to me for having some weird world learning, and just an overall weird first few moments of a game. That game is Final Fantasy 15. As soon as you start the game instantly asks you to start controlling your character. Use the left stick to move. Oh, okay, what the fuck is going on around here? Like, why is this guy on fire? Who are these people? What's happening here? Do you want me to hit something? Like, I don't know. Then your bro gives you a little kiss.
There you go.
Then a big explosion cutscene happens. Then another cutscene happens where the king is talking to you. Then another cutscene happens and you're in a car and the car breaks down and you have to push the car for like 45 minutes. Then another cutscene happens where you talk to this very normal looking video game character. And I'm not saying the weirdness of this introduction makes Final Fantasy 15 a bad game. It's just a tough game to start. And this isn't even the longest introduction ever or anything. It's just that like every time a scene ends, it's like, okay, I'm gonna play the game now. I'm not playing the game yet. Compare this to another game like God of War Ragnarok. If you count the opening sled chase as a cutscene, which I kind of do, you're not really doing anything.
Trees! They're coming down! That was too close.
This game has almost 20 minutes of introduction before you go off punching things. And even though that's about 10 minutes longer than Final Fantasy 15, the world learning, see, I just used my new word there, is a much smaller ask because you're just learning about this father and son. And it's much easier to understand what their short-term problems and goals are for when you do finally go off punching things. And that's why I don't even know how many games in my backlog, because starting a new game and getting over all 3 of these hurdles at the same time sometimes feels impossible. And sometimes I would rather just be a complete jackass teammate in Rocket League instead. I mean, look at me, what am I doing here? Like, why would I do that? Oh my, I just scored on myself. All right, so I'm genuinely wondering, what are some games that have really good openings? Here's a few of my favorite games that I think tackle all 3 of these points, and I could talk about these games forever, but I'm much more interested in what other games are out there that do their openings really well. Easy to understand world learning, invisible tutorials, a really satisfying difficulty curve. It's just, come on, let me hear them, give them to me. So anyway, that's my essay on why it sometimes really stinks to start a new game. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to absolutely freaking grand slam that subscribe button out of here. I mean, freaking really hit that thing hard, okay? And give a little bonk to that little thumbs up button too, because that makes me really happy. All right, that's all from me. Thanks again. I love you.